Touzani. I am the former CEO of Creditspring, which is a FinTech based in London. I just recently stepped down a few weeks ago now, after having spent 4 years and a half at the company. When I joined, we were about 4 or 5 people. We didn't have a product. We were still figuring stuff out and asking for our FCA license. And when I left a few weeks back now, we were more than 60 people and serving a bit more than 200,000 customers in the UK. I do pottery as a hobby. I've been doing that for about 2 years now. And I mean, people in my team at Creditspring used to know this because I would gift a lot of the stuff I was making, because my house is full of pots and plates and bowls now. So I gift a lot of them. As a COO, it's really hard to break the line between personal life and professional life, and you get pinged at any hour in the day because someone is having an issue. And really, when you are on the wheel, making pots, your hands are dirty, so you can't actually check your phone. So I think this is potentially the nicest thing about that. It's the only time you completely log off. I spent the first part of my career in banking and consulting, actually in France. I worked at the likes of BNP Paribas, HSBC, Natixis, which are the biggest banks back in France, and moved from Paris to London for my job at Creditspring a bit more than 4 years ago now. So when I joined, I was the head of operations. We were a very small team. I was actually the only ops person in the company. And when the company started to grow, I took on lots of responsibilities of a CEO, and my role expanded a lot. So after some time, it just made sense for me to also have that title. And then my team expanded and my responsibilities expanded even further because the company kept on growing. Well, there is no typical day, which is the beauty of this job. I think you can ask 200 CEOs maybe, and they would each have a different description of their job, or different, and then as a result, a different day to day. I guess catch-ups with my teams are very key, because I want to make sure that they have everything they need to do what they need to do and to progress on the tasks and projects they're working on, and they're not blocked. And then I try to block out time for focus work. So I have a little bit of a code in my calendar where I have one color for meetings, one color for one-on-ones, one color for work, for focus work, and I block those time in advance from a week to the next to make sure that I don't get disturbed and still progress on the stuff I want to think about. So mostly meetings, and those blocks of time that I allocate for deep work or thinking, or as thinking about strategy on long-term things. I think it's a job where you need to reinvent who you are and what you do quite regularly. So you need to be comfortable with change and be able to drive change a lot. And I found that it's hard to discuss the issues you have with people in your company necessarily. So you don't want to lay all of your issues on your team, and you probably don't have the same point of view with your CEO, let's say, or whoever you report to. So I think having a network and people that you can go to and speak to and get feedback from, or just learn from their different perspective or point of view is super, super important. And I've been very lucky to have been able to surround myself with other CEOs or other heads of operations since I started in this job, and I think the value it brings is invaluable because you really need to have a support system in this type of job. So CEOs out there, find yourself some CEO friends. That's a good question. I think CEOs need to be generalists, so they need to be able to plug in the gaps wherever they find them within their organization. Ability to understand people and understand processes, which means that actually, contrary to what most people think, it's a very people-oriented job. So soft skills are super important. You need to be able to speak to people, to listen, to make people talk to you, and give you an honest view of what's happening and what's going on. And then once that problem is fixed, or once you have created the structure that works, you need to also feel happy or comfortable stepping down from that area or that subject and letting someone else take over that. So what I like saying is you need to be able to fire yourself from your job quite regularly, because your remit is going to grow and you need to find people that are better suited and not be as involved as you used to be. I think what we are less aware of as CEOs and operations people is how our skills and what we've learned on one job are transferable to another company. And that's that's the source of a lot of the imposter syndrome that operations people have. Where we're going is towards a better definition of what that job is. Even if it has nuances from a company to another, I think there's like a core set of skills that will benefit from being better defined, and that people can then rate themselves on like skill sets. And from the other side, companies would also like know what type of CEO they're looking for. So yeah, something like a better definition of what the role is and what it can be and what core skills are required for it. Don't be afraid of taking risks and stepping into a zone like your discomfort zone, because like I said, the CEO role is a generalist role by definition. So you're not expected, like, be comfortable with the fact that you're not expected to be an expert in every specific domain. It just doesn't make sense. But you need to get to a point where you can have conversations with specialists and the experts and get them to tell you what you need to know to help them. So at the end of the day, is very much a people job. Learn how to listen and how to have meaningful conversations with people.